The first defector. Shadow Weaver Kirex moved silently through the ventilation ducts of Hope's Heart Station, her adaptive camouflage rendering her invisible to both organic eyes and security systems. 3 centuries of perfect kills had earned her the title of Master Assassin in the Obsidian Guild. This contract should have been routine. Eliminate Dr. Sarah Chen, a human physician whose revolutionary medical research threatened the Guild's control over regenerative technology. Yet something felt different. Through the reinforced plasteel grating, Kirex observed her target working late into the artificial night cycle. Dr. Chen moved between beds in the charity ward, checking on patients that other hospitals had deemed untreatable. Her dark hair was messily tied back, face lined with exhaustion, but her gentle smile never wavered. "You're responding well to the new treatment," Chen told a young Vrax child, its chitinous plates dulled by a wasting disease. She adjusted the specialized medical unit she had designed specifically for the alien's unique biology. "The nanites are rebuilding your exoskeleton. Soon you'll be strong enough to play with your clutchmates again." The child's mandibles clicked in a gesture of hope, the first time Kirex had seen such movement from the previously listless patient. Chen's innovative treatments were working where centuries of Guild-controlled medicine had failed. That's why she had to die. The Guild's monopoly on medical technology kept countless worlds dependent on their carefully measured aid. Chen's breakthroughs, freely shared with any who needed them, threatened that control. Kirex readied her neurotoxin injector. The ventilation system would disperse it perfectly, making it appear like equipment failure. Chen would simply fall asleep at her desk, her heart quietly stopping. Clean. Professional. Routine. A sudden commotion erupted from the emergency ward. Multiple trauma incoming. A nurse called out, "Mining accident on level 47. Chen sprinted from the charity ward, all traces of exhaustion vanishing, as she switched to emergency protocols. Kirex followed through the ducts, watching as casualties were rushed in, a mix of humans and aliens, their environment suits torn and bodies broken by industrial accidents. "Triage protocols," Chen ordered, moving between patients with practiced efficiency. "Get me vital signs and species markers. Prep the universal blood substitutes. Where's my xenophysiology specialist?" "Still 20 minutes out," someone replied. "Can't wait that long." Chen pulled up holographic anatomical displays, comparing alien physiologies in real time. "These workers need help now. Nurse Zhang, help me modify the human trauma protocols for Centaurian biology. Harrison, start synthesizing coagulants compatible with methane-based blood strings." Kirex watched in fascination as Chen coordinated the emergency response, adapting human medical techniques on the fly to save alien lives. The doctor's understanding of cross-species medicine surpassed anything the assassin had seen in 3 centuries of wet work across the galaxy. Hours passed as Chen fought to stabilize her patients. The neurotoxin window came and went. 3 more perfect killing opportunities arose and passed unused as Kirex found herself unable to tear away from the scene below. Finally, the last patient was stabilized. Chen slumped against a wall, utterly drained. A nurse tried to convince her to rest, but she shook her head. "The Vrax child's treatment needs monitoring," she insisted, pushing herself upright. "And I promised Little Star I'd read her a story before sleep cycle." Kirex followed as Chen made her way back to the charity ward. Little Star turned out to be a meridian crystal child, her crystalline body fracturing from a rare genetic condition. The Guild charged fortunes to treat such cases. Chen was developing a cure and giving it away. "The little ship that could," Chen read softly, holding up a simple picture book. "Once there was a tiny transport ship who dreamed of helping others." Something broke inside Kirex as she watched the human doctor, exhausted beyond measure, taking time to comfort a dying alien child. 3 centuries of conditioning cracked and fell away. The assassin reached for her emergency quantum communicator. "Guild command. This is Shadow Weaver Kirex. Code Omega. Report, Shadow Weaver. Is the target eliminated?" "No." Kirex's voice was firm. Contract refused on grounds of conscience. The target's continuation serves the greater good. Alarms blared through the quantum link. You are compromised, Shadow Weaver. Report for immediate psychological reconditioning. No, Kirax said again, feeling strangely free. I am enlightened. The humans, they're teaching us something we forgot long ago. Something we need to remember. She severed the quantum link and emerged from the ventilation system, to cloaking before the startled doctor and child. Security breach. Chen hit the alarm, moving to shield Little Star with her body. Wait. Kirax held up empty hands. I need to understand. You could be wealthy beyond measure, selling your treatments to the highest bidder. Why give them freely? Why exhaust yourself for aliens who can never repay you? Chen's eyes widened in surprise, but her voice was steady. Because they're people who need help. That's all the reason anyone should need. Kirax nodded slowly. I was sent to kill you. Instead, I choose to learn from you. The guild's way is wrong. Will you teach me your way instead? And so began the fall of an empire built on scarcity and control, brought down not by weapons or warfare, but by the simple, devastating power of human compassion, freely given. Ripples of doubt. The guild's high command chamber hadn't seen such chaos in 3 millennia. Emergency alerts flashed across quantum displays as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. More assassins were refusing contracts, each exposure to human behavior, triggering a cascade of defections. Supreme Director Vexthor's carapace bristled with rage as he reviewed the latest statistics. 12 more refusals in the Orient sector alone, all citing this human concept of moral conscience. Show me the surveillance footage of Subject Earth 773. The holographic display materialized, showing a human dockworker named James Rodriguez. 3 different guild assassins had refused contracts on him in the past month. Rodriguez worked the dangerous outer rings of Saturn's shipyards, organizing safety programs for the immigrant workers who maintained humanity's growing fleet. There, Vexthor pointed as the footage showed Rodriguez diving into vacuum to save a Proximan worker whose tether had snapped. The human had used his own emergency oxygen supply, nearly dying himself in the process. This behavior defies all rational analysis. No species sacrifices itself for others without expectation of gain. Yet they do it consistently. Analysis Director Mellor countered, her normally precise voice trembling. Subject 773 has performed similar actions 17 times. When questioned, he simply states it's the right thing to do. This righteousness appears to be infectious. The footage shifted to show one of their assassins, assigned to eliminate Rodriguez, instead joining his safety advocacy group. The killer had traded a lifetime of wet work for organizing equipment inspections and rescue drills. The contamination spreads beyond direct contact, Mellor continued. Those exposed to human altruism begin exhibiting similar behaviors. Agent Kirax's defection was merely the beginning. The humans are weaponizing kindness itself. Impossible, Vexthor snarled. Kindness is weakness. The Guild has enforced galactic order through controlled scarcity and selective elimination for 3,000 years. These humans cannot undo our conditioning with mere goodwill. A priority alert cut through their debate. Another assassin had just publicly defected, this time during a hit on a human teacher. Lysa Chen, no relation to the doctor who had turned Kirax, ran a school for refugee children on Mars. The assassin had walked into her classroom, revealed their mission, and asked to volunteer as a teaching assistant instead. We're losing control, Mellor whispered. The humans don't just show compassion. They teach others to be compassionate. Every convert becomes a vector for spreading their ideology of mutual aid. Our perfect machine of death is being dismantled by homework help and volunteer programs. Quarantine, Vexthor ordered. Recall all agents who've had contact with human targets. Full psychological reconditioning. Too late, a new voice interrupted. The chamber's security systems shimmered as a figure decloaked. Shadowmancer Nyx, their most decorated field commander. I've seen what they're building out there. Schools, hospitals, community centers, all species welcome, no payment required. The humans call it paying it forward. You're compromised. Vex Thor reached for his emergency beacon, but Nyx was faster. I'm awakened, the Shadowmancer corrected. 3 centuries I served the guild, believing our control was necessary for galactic stability. Then I watched a human child share her lunch with a hungry Vraxian youngster. No treaties, no negotiations, just simple kindness freely given. This is madness, Vex Thor sputtered. You would betray 3,000 years of tradition over a shared meal. The true madness was believing that fear and scarcity were the only ways to maintain order, Nyx replied. The humans are showing us another path. They're teaching us that a society can be built on cooperation rather than competition, on lifting others up rather than keeping them down. Throughout the galaxy, more assassins were laying down their weapons, choosing to serve life rather than deal death. The guild's perfect machine of control was being jammed by countless small acts of human kindness, a revolution of compassion that no amount of conditioning could stop. In her classroom on Mars, Lisa Chen smiled as her newest teaching assistant, a former guild assassin, helped a young Meridian Crystal child sound out their first words in English. The revolution wouldn't be won with weapons or warfare, but with patience, persistence, and the simple, devastating power of giving without expectation of return. The healing touch. Dr. Sarah Chen's medical center on Hope's Heart Station had grown. What started as a single charity ward now occupied an entire sector of the station, with former guild assassins working alongside human doctors. Kirax, once the guild's deadliest shadow weaver, now coordinated the xenobiology department. The neural regeneration treatment is showing promising results, Kirax reported, displaying holographic brain scans of their latest patients. Former guild operatives, their minds scarred by centuries of conditioning, were healing. The human concept of therapy, combined with targeted nanite repair, is undoing damage we thought permanent. Chen nodded, studying the results. The psychological healing is just as important as the physical. Many of your people have never experienced emotional connections before. Learning to feel, to care, to connect. It's like watching children discover the world for the first time. Their discussion was interrupted by an emergency alert. A guild strike force had attacked a human colony on Proxima B. But instead of the expected casualties, they received hundreds of guild operatives requesting asylum and medical treatment. They were supposed to eliminate the colony, a trembling assassin explained as Chen treated their wounds. But the humans, they were building schools, hospitals, food distribution centers. For everyone, not just themselves. When we hesitated, our control implants activated. The pain, they shuddered. But the humans helped us anyway, even knowing what we came to do. Chen's innovative treatments spread across the galaxy like a benevolent virus. The guild's attempt to maintain control through regulated medical care crumbled as humans freely shared their knowledge. Former assassins, their minds healed and hearts awakened, became some of the most dedicated healthcare workers. In the station's rehabilitation wing, a young Meridian Crystal child named Little Star, now fully healed, taught meditation techniques to traumatized guild veterans. Her crystalline body, once fracturing from disease, now glowed with health as she helped others find peace. The guild's last desperate attempt at suppression backfired spectacularly. They released an engineered virus targeting human medical facilities. Instead of surrendering, humanity launched the largest medical relief effort in galactic history. Ships filled with doctors, supplies, and volunteers rushed to affected areas. Former guild assassins, intimately familiar with the virus's design, worked alongside human researchers to develop a cure. Why? A dying guild commander asked as Chen administered the cure. We tried to destroy you. By your own laws of natural selection, you should let us perish. That's where you've always been wrong, Chen replied, checking the commander's vital signs. Humanity's greatest evolutionary advantage isn't our technology or our adaptability. It's our capacity to care for each other, to help even our enemies. Every life we save strengthens us all. The medical revolution sparked by humans rippled through galactic society. Species that had been dependent on guild-controlled treatments for generations discovered their own healing potential. The artificial scarcity of medical care, maintained for millennia through assassination and control, gave way to an abundance of freely shared knowledge. In her original charity ward, now a teaching hospital, Chen watched as human doctors trained alongside former guild operatives and alien medical students. The assassins who once dealt in death now preserved life, their lethal precision redirected to microsurgery and emergency response. "We were wrong about weakness," Correct said, standing beside her old target-turned-mentor. "The guild taught us that compassion made us vulnerable, that caring for others was at evolutionary disadvantage. But your species proved that empathy is the ultimate strength. Every person we help becomes an ally. Every life we save enriches all of us." The healing spread beyond medicine. Former guild facilities were transformed into schools, community centers, and rehabilitation clinics. The skills honed for killing were repurposed for saving lives. The shadow of fear and control lifted as beings across the galaxy learned what humanity had known all along, that the strongest societies are built not on competition and scarcity, but on cooperation and freely shared abundance. Breaking chains. The Guild's central command fortress on Obsidian Prime, untouchable for 3 millennia, was collapsing from within. Not from weapons or warfare, but from the quiet revolution of its own operatives, choosing humanity's path of compassion over control. Supreme Director Vexthor watched in horror as another tactical display went dark. Entire sectors were declaring independence, led by former guild assassins working alongside human advisors. Their perfect machine of death was being dismantled by rehabilitation programs and community outreach initiatives. The latest numbers are catastrophic. Analysis Director Melra reported, her voice hollow. 87% of field operatives have defected. Our remaining loyal forces are refusing missions involving human targets. The psychological contagion has reached our deep cover agents. They're establishing underground networks to help others escape. The fortress shuddered as another security system failed. Through the command center's windows, Vexthor watched guild assassins escorting their former prisoners to freedom. The holding cells that once contained dissidents now housed emergency medical clinics and counseling centers. This is how it ends. Shadowmancer Nyx emerged from the shadows, now leading the revolution they'd once hunted. Not with the bang of bombs or the whisper of poison, but with the simple choice to help rather than harm. Thousands of guild operatives had gathered in the fortress's central courtyard, where once they'd trained in dealing death, they now learned human techniques of healing and community building. Former targets worked alongside their would-be killers, teaching skills the guild had deemed unnecessary: compassion, cooperation, emotional connection. The guild's last desperate counterattack failed spectacularly. Elite kill teams, sent to eliminate key human leaders, instead joined their rehabilitation programs. The psychological conditioning that had held for centuries shattered in the face of genuine kindness freely offered. "You don't understand what you're destroying," Vexthor snarled as human peacekeepers entered his command center. "The galaxy needs our control. Without fear, without scarcity, everything will collapse into chaos." "Look outside." James Rodriguez, the dock worker who'd sparked multiple defections, gestured to the courtyard. Former guild assassins were distributing medical supplies, organizing support groups, teaching each other skills for their new lives. This isn't chaos. This is people choosing to help each other. The only thing being destroyed is the artificial scarcity you use to maintain control. The revolution spread across guild space like wildfire. Training facilities became schools. Torture chambers transformed into therapy centers. The shadowy networks once used for assassination now distributed food, medicine, and education to formerly controlled worlds. In a final irony, the guild's own perfectionism proved its undoing. The operatives they'd trained to be methodical and thorough applied that same dedication to dismantling the systems of control. Former assassins used their intimate knowledge of guild infrastructure to ensure no shadow of the old order remained. We were wrong, Melra admitted, watching former enemies work together to rebuild. We thought strength came from forcing others to need us. The humans showed us true power comes from helping others become strong themselves. The fall of the guild marked the beginning of a new galactic age. The assassins who had once maintained control through fear and scarcity now worked to create abundance and cooperation. They discovered that their skills, patience, precision, dedication, were even more valuable when used to nurture life rather than end it. As the last guild fortress was transformed into a community center, Vexthor finally understood. Humanity hadn't defeated them with superior weapons or tactics. They'd won by showing a better way to exist, one small act of kindness at a time. New Dawn. 5 years after the guild's collapse, Hope's Heart Station hosted the first Galactic Cooperation Summit. The massive medical center, once a single charity ward, now served as a symbol of transformation. Former guild assassins sat alongside human leaders, planning the next phase of galactic reconstruction. Dr. Sarah Chen, now leading the Universal Healthcare Initiative, presented the latest statistics. The artificial scarcity of medical care maintained by the Guild has been completely dismantled. Open-source medical technology, combined with training programs for former operatives, has reduced mortality rates across all known species by 70%. Kirax, wearing the white uniform of a xenobiology specialist instead of assassin's stealth gear, added, "Our greatest challenge was learning to trust. The Guild conditioned us to see cooperation as weakness. Humans taught us that true strength lies in lifting others up." The station's halls buzzed with activity as beings from across the galaxy participated in what humans called cultural exchange programs. Former Guild facilities, once centers of death and control, now housed universities, hospitals, and community centers. The shadowy networks previously used for assassination had been repurposed into emergency response systems, delivering aid wherever needed. In the pediatric ward, Little Star, the crystal child whose treatment had helped spark the revolution, now trained as a counselor for traumatized youngsters. Her crystalline body resonated with healing frequencies as she helped children from former Guild-controlled worlds process their trauma through art and play therapy. James Rodriguez, the dockworker whose simple acts of kindness had triggered multiple defections, oversaw safety protocols for the station's expanding construction projects. Former assassins used their enhanced abilities to protect rather than harm, their precision and attention to detail saving countless lives. The humans' greatest weapon was never their technology, observed Melora, now heading the psychological rehabilitation program. It was their ability to see potential in everyone, even their enemies. They didn't just defeat us. They showed us how to be better. The transformation spread beyond medicine and infrastructure. Former Guild training facilities became centers for arts, culture, and innovation. Assassins who had once competed for kills now collaborated on solutions to galactic challenges. The skills honed for dealing death found new purpose in preserving and enriching life. In the station's Grand Assembly Hall, representatives from across known space gathered to ratify the Universal Cooperation Accord. The document, drafted by human diplomats and former Guild strategists, enshrined the principles of mutual aid and freely shared resources that had replaced the old order of control through scarcity. "We stand at the dawn of a new age," Chen addressed the assembly. "Not one built on fear and competition, but on compassion and cooperation." The Guild spent 3 millennia proving that control through fear was unsustainable. In just 5 years, humanity has demonstrated that kindness freely given creates strength that force could never match. As the assembly erupted in approval, Kirax turned to her former target, now mentor and friend. "The Guild taught us that the galaxy was a dark place that needed controlling. Humans showed us it was only dark because we made it so. Every act of kindness, every life saved, every person helped. They're all lights pushing back the darkness. The revolution that began with a single doctor refusing to turn away patients had transformed galactic civilization. The assassins who once dealt in death now preserved life, their lethal skills repurposed for healing. The shadows that once hid killers now sheltered those in need, and throughout known space, beings of all species learned what humanity had known all along, that the strongest force in the universe wasn't fear or control, but compassion freely given and endlessly shared.